Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our podcast. My name is Dominic Wu. I'm the host. And beside me is my team, Spatial and XR Innovation team. And they are also the faculty in community colleges. So I will go around the table and let them to introduce themselves. And later on, we will dive into our topics. Okay, so first, Matt, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Matt Larson and I'm the instructional and universal designer working at Santa Monica College. I'm also the Faculty Studio Innovation and AI Lab coordinator, and I work with uh, all faculty from the district and, you know, leading these most recent initiatives. I'll pass it to Rick.
Hi, my name's Rick White. I am a full-time faculty in the CSIT department at Maricosta College. Currently, I head up the AI department. We have a degree in artificial intelligence, and we're reaching out to stretch and understand new ways of engaging and using new modalities to interface with artificial intelligence to communicate more efficiently and in interesting ways with each other. I'll pass it to Alan.
Hello, my name is Alan Foote. I am a computer information management faculty member at Saddleback College in Mission Viejo, California. Um, my part in all this is that I think that what's happening in XR and spatial XR is just changing the way we educate students. And I think this is going to be part of a big revolution. And we're going to see most schools going in this direction for a number of classes. So I'm gonna pass it on now over to Michael.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Kreisel. I'm the research analyst at Lake Tahoe Community College. And I've been working with this innovation group to find use cases for emerging technologies so we can create innovative and immersive experiences in the classroom, which we hope will increase students' performances in the classroom, as well as give faculty new and interesting modalities of teaching.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Michael. Yeah. So a little bit about myself. I'm AI fellow currently at Chancellor's office, and also I'm a faculty at Kenyatta College. I'm teaching game development and XR. So yeah. So let's talk about like our first question, and feel free, to just jump in and chat. Like our normal, hangout uh, group, right? Okay. So first, what's your thoughts on XR and spatial AI in education? Any thoughts?
I guess I can start. I think the XR and spatial computing have a lot of potential especially in higher education and workforce education, and experimental training and learning as well. So I think the biggest value I see is not just the new technology or breakthrough technology itself in this time, but also the ability to create more, I think, immersive learning experiences that are, I think, difficult to replicate in, traditional classrooms or even in online environment like learning management systems as well. Um, like if I give an example, for those who are new to spatial and XR environment, I think the most important part is that students can practice, for example, clinical simulations for healthcare education or explore like 3D models in, with this technology, and also engage in much more, I think, realistic uh, and also scenario based learning in the ways that are, I think, feel more interactive. They can interact with the subject and make it much more meaningful learning. And also at the same time, I believe that I think the a lot of institutions need to be careful also not to adopt just or not to adopt these technologies just because it feels innovative in that sense. but they have to see the benefits from it. So I think the focus should always be on pedagogy as well as learning outcomes for their first. I think the since I'm an instructional designer, I look at from the also universal design for learning perspective to things to accessibility sides and also equity. For I think those are also should be the major considerations as well, because I think all learn all of the learners, in workforce training or college training, um, comfortably interact with this technology and also easily navigate the learning in these immersive environments with technology. So I think I see XR as a very promising future of education tool with part of it. And then I think there's an intentional design. And if you do intentionally design and align with the current learning outcomes, I think that should be the goal.
Oh.
I want to jump in here real quick, Matt, just because you brought up something about simulations and things like that. And just earlier today, I was on a call with some students from another school, not Saddleback, and they were complaining because all of their biology and chemistry labs, they had to go on campus to do the biology and chemistry labs. I was like, wait a minute. Why don't you have a simulated kind of environment using spatial XR? And so the students can do that off campus. What's the business? Why do they always have to go on campus? So I think that's a very relevant and useful idea that schools can be adapting. And so I certainly see that as a big part of the future too.
It
I like some of the ideas that you brought up, Alan, because not only does that allow for students to have these experiences regardless of their locations, but it also cuts down on the resource costs, the uh, being put into positions where hazards and risk come into play. So, a lot of these lab-based courses could really benefit from having some new technologies and simulated experiences that could give the same learning outcomes, but without those necessary, uh, extraordinary costs.
And I think too, when you start thinking about people's learning velocity, right? Like, how quickly can they learn things? How quickly can they understand an environment? How quickly can they integrate with that environment? Now imagine I'm somewhere, traveling, or, I'm in a different world. I'm not in my laboratory. I'm not in my research, I'm not in my garage. I'm just somewhere, but I can immediately immerse myself
Rick?
controlled. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear
Yep.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So that in fact gives you great flexibility for being able to know and learn and understand. And I think the next level in storytelling really comes from this place, and we've kind of identified it in gaming, right? You have like narrative threads that allow you to kind of you're being guided, and then you have a free world that you can then explore and understand. So it's like a combination of possibly VR, where you might have the eyes or the empathy of the individual that you need to see things from, so you can
Rick? Anybody can hear Rick? Yes, Rick sometimes, there's
it
no
goes out.
Yeah, your voice goes out, and
Hold on one second. I'm just gonna adjust my microphone. All right, can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, so I think that, you get to this place where, I don't know where I lost you, or my voice went out, but the real important part is like you being able to kind of move back and forth between a narrative, like, so this is a world that I'm experiencing that has a thread, a story, a through line that allows me to understand it. It happens in gaming all the time. Then You have another area where you can kind of move freely in that world and explore that world and see that world. And again, it happens really well in VR XR. What you really get with the narrative though is the opportunity to transcend the way that you normally see things, how things are affected by your own bias, and let me see it through the eyes of someone else, or let me see a new perspective that lets me kind of understand this more deeply. And again, it's a different kind of storytelling, but if we get it right, it could really open up and it could be a major unlock for being able to understand things in a new way really rapidly.
Yeah, echoing what Rick said, that you change yourself, right? To change your perspective to see the world. For example, like I remember there was a scenario, which because we all talk about accessibility in the campus, right? So, the VR experience is putting the student or the faculty on the wheelchair in VR, so to and the mapping out the entire current campus in the school. So allow the people, like the students, to experience, if you are on wheelchair, right? How can you get into your class, right? So it's also put you in the perspective of people with people who has to be sit on the wheelchair all the time, right? And the other example is that there is another VR experience that allows you to experience people with low vision. So when you wear it, it's like when you see the world, it's always, for example, there's a big donut in front of your eyesight, and it's pixelate, right? Whatever you see is pixelate in real world. It can use, mixed reality, right? And also, it's black and white. And you couldn't really see anything, but you kind of can see things. So that's the life of someone with low vision. So by putting a person into these types of experience, you can definitely learn more, right? So, for example, like a hands-on experience, right? Especially workforce. So when you get in, for example, like a simulation, like a piloting, right? Or like I remember one of it, I was learning how to do like a piloting and also ISS as another VR experience. So it allows us to very easily to get access to all the simulation, even though it couldn't really compare with the actual facility, actual physical experience. But somehow it accommodate people who couldn't travel, who couldn't pay that much of money, right? Or the community college, or the education institution couldn't afford to build things that allow students to access. So I think it really, I mean, I always heard that people said that VR is not accessible. But the thing about it is probably focus on headset, right? You couldn't get a headset. But besides that, I think the VR, once you get the headset, you can access to anywhere. So that's my argument.
I
Yeah.
think go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
Speaking of accessibility, there's a lot of barriers for people to enter into higher education. Here at Lake Tahoe Community College, we're in a unique situation where we're very isolated. We're kind of like a education island, where we're limited to how many students will be able to enroll here in person, and so a lot of our new um, initiatives are to meet students, where they are, and to attract students, through digital education platforms. And so, um, providing these types of experiences will really open the doors to uh, being able to reach students at a much more national and global scale.
Mhm.
Oh, Rick, do you want to say
Oh,
anything?
oh yeah, I wanted to throw just back to what you were saying, like from the point of view, right? Like it just triggered something in my mind thinking about like so many businesses, and again, here's business, right? Like people, well, how does this affect my business use case? Okay, well, knowing your customer might be one of the most important things that you do, right? Like, so say we use artificial intelligence, we build this beautiful, like, dashboard that says who that individual is, what they like, how old they are. And now imagine that we can actually give you the perspective or experience of them using your product. And you, as somebody who works for that company, can see what through the eyes of your customer. You can see their frustration, you can see their challenges, right? Like, how much more powerful is that, right? Because organizations, they lose connection with their customers through the org chart, right? As things bubble up and it goes, through the next layer of the org chart all the way up to the CEO, it's really a lossy process. So imagine this is really a business innovation, right? Like, using these tools as an empathy engine is really a fantastic way to understand people, right? Like, first and foremost, let's understand each other. Like, that's a great thing. But for all you business oriented folk out there, there's something there for you too.
Cool. Then
I
that's
also wanna
yeah. Oh, go for it.
I also wanna mention about I think the one of the biggest challenges is, in this technology, especially in public education, um, and workforce training in public settings is going to be like always the funding and sustainability of the keeping the way it is, because the technology keeps changing and evolving itself, and very rapidly lately with AI now. So like right now every month almost we see like all the apps, large language models are changing, and then we have to adapt ourselves. And same thing for the XR. And I think it has a strong potential for immersive learning and hands-on learning as well, like Ellen mentioned earlier. And but the cost of headsets, the software comes with it, which platform and infrastructure that it will be built, like it's not like one size fits all type of thing. And maintenance thing, who's going to maintain? Do we have a department for it? IT is going to be responsible, or the, distance ed department, or who? I think like, yeah, also the technical support too. Those can be challenging and difficult for many institutions, especially in public settings, unless sustaining long term. Like a lot of colleges, even hard to keep up their distance at the departments. Some of them have very limited or low instructional designers, for example, right, because of the budgets and all that. So I think the public colleges are already balancing a lot of limited funds and budgets currently. You know, they are tackling with accessibility now because it's going to be a law. You know, and stopping enrollments, and sometimes layoffs are happening. Student supports, which ones they should be more focused on. So scaling XR technology beyond the small pilot projects can be, I think, I see as a challenge for the long term.
Yeah, I do agree with you that the fundings, right, especially for example, like teachers or the schools like to prioritize other sectors, right? So it makes. I remember one faculty told me that, hey, I just want to apply one headset, and took her months, and then later on, she got rejected. And she was surprised that, hey, just one headset and put in the library, since the school doesn't have one. So she got rejected. So how can she even, move forward? And I told her that, hey, come on, don't be frustrated. Either, I don't know. For me, I usually pay out of my pocket. But if you couldn't pay out of your pocket, maybe, do something, maybe immersive web, right? Doing something, right? It's better than nothing. And I also think that we should, rely on ourselves. I know that every time when we have anything we want to do, reimbursement, or, we want to get like a payoff, right? The school, right? Because it's learning materials, and it's part of our teaching. But I would say that maybe, explore on your own, maybe get a secondhand, on eBay, or something cheaper, right? Quest 2 or something, and just try it. And I understand that it's frustrating to get through all the. I usually said that applying or, applying any equipment or anything is like the layer of onion. Every time when you apply, it's like a million layers. You need to get approval to get one small things done. And then every layer you finish, you cry a little bit. It's like, oh, so frustrated. So it's
But that's pretty good. I like that. I like that metaphor. Little tear.
the little tear, the tears is like rolling down after you peel out the first onion, you cry, and you need to get through the another layers of onion. So this is our institution, right? So for me, it's interesting that to see that industry, right? Industry, yeah, like I talked to the leadership, I said that industry is right now landing on the moon. And for the community college system, we are still in the desert, right? We probably have some little, oasis or some little green, plants somewhere for XR mentor for. But, it's just like there's a huge gap. And if you keep focusing on we couldn't put any XR in because it's not accessible, if you keep using this as, I don't know, as an excuse, then you never learn, right? Maybe you just get your own headset and maybe some students can get their own headset and we can split the course into two parts if you have it. Unfortunately, we couldn't get everyone, but everybody can trade or, get one and everybody, try it every day or every hour. I don't know. Yeah. So it's just like we still need to keep up the speed, right? Otherwise, we will just totally behind.
I also want to add that another, I think, major issue is the faculty readiness because, they are tackling with accessibility right now, and that's a big challenge for them. That's what I see. Many instructors are not uh, um, feels ready or adapting. They are excited. I'm not saying they're not willing to, but they are barely adapting to online learning, right? That has been in the past maybe 10 years or maybe more. I mean, 15 years since I've been dealing in working in the online education field. Like most recently, like AI tools now. With digital teaching practices, and on top of that, XR is introduce whole different world, like another layer of complexity for their technology and instructional design and all that knowledge. And also when we look at from the universal design perspective, I think that a lot of institutions and colleges or public institutions, I should say, also need to ensure that this I think the experience are again should be accessible because they have to meet with the federal laws and also equitable for everybody, and for those who are visually challenged or auditorily challenged and all that. So
I think there's a lot of panic around technology. At least that's what I see in my sphere of the world. There's still, there are groups of people that are interested, and that are looking to stretch, but I think that there's a lot of fear that's there, and I think we have to acknowledge it. Are you seeing that at Saddleback, Alan?
Yes. Saddleback, I don't thi but Rick, in talking to a lot of faculty members from a lot of different community colleges, it is a common discussion on the fear that many faculty have on technology and, trying to make the movement forward, and, like, Saddleback's not any different than that. You're exactly right. How do you overcome the fear?
I think you have to acknowledge it. It feels like that's the first thing that you gotta do. If you don't like a lot there's a lot of people that are just like, "Ah, don't be scared." It's like that doesn't do it.
Didn't do it. No.
Like a long time ago, I remember I had a mentor and he told me that what I need to prioritize doing is the things that makes me very uncomfortable, but it's good for me. That is the thing that we need to prioritize. So for example, we think, oh, technology, right? I feel fearful, right? But if getting good at technology is good for me, then you need to face that fear,
Mm.
right? If the teacher couldn't do that, then you are not a teacher. You are not teaching student to be optimistic. You couldn't lead student to get a better career. You are fail as a teacher if you couldn't face your own fear. How can you lead your student? Yeah, that's my point. I'm probably a little harsh, but that's my thought. Got some beat.
Fail fast. The faster you fail, the more you find out what will work. Every innovation cycle, there's four runners that are out there taking those chances, and usually it pays off for those innovators in a big way. And who doesn't want to be one of the winners in these events?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, so I think the technology. I think at the beginning, I remember back in 2022, I was doing UX design, and I was in a boot camp as a teacher. I remember there was something like a very similar to Stitch, right? Is that you text prompt? It's called DaVinci something. There's a beta app. Whatever you text prompt, it will lay out a lot of apps, and I have students who book, who are the bootcamp student, and the bootcamp is like a 10K per 6 months, right? 10K. The tuition fee is very expensive, but guarantee you can get a job. But ever since like ChatGPT and also Figma, right? It's just it just speed up, and my student just panicked and told me that hey, they feel like hopeless, right? And so that fear start from ChatGPT starts, and everybody start getting like, wow, every once in a while one industry is pretty much being replaced, like graphic design. I mean, I use Claude design for everything. Who use I mean, I also cancel my Figma. Come on, I'm a UX designer. I cancel Figma and I cancel Adobe series. So what yeah, so you see like a lot of SaaS, right? They couldn't really maintain their revenue, right? And the world is totally changing. And yesterday I talked to one UX faculty. She's going to launch the kind of industry, like the district level of AI UX certificate. And she asked me like, she was wondering what's my opinion about the direction. And I said, I show her that Claude design. I said that whatever you are going to teach, because I asked her like, what's the course about? She said, oh, probably sketch and using chatbot to talk, discuss, and start moving, from wireframe sketch to da 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 to concept. And I said that, okay, let me show you what's the current one. You just type whatever things and it's all done. And I said that maybe, yeah. And I told her about like a why, what, how, right? So if there is a circle, right? Why is usually in the inner circle, the reason why this product need to be done. And it's usually tied to solving users' problem. What is usually tied to start with why, right? And what need to be done. It's like a project manager's job, right? Writing the test to assign different people. And how this can be done is outside, right? It's the task itself. It will be assigned to developer, designer, right? All those peoples, right? So right now, colleges are getting, past the history, start with when the entire education starts, right? College starts. It's supporting, supply all the, how the outside part, whatever task, right? Very specific experts, right? And now all the how got eliminated by AI, right? AI can do better than you, right? If you are sitting in front of a computer, it's very likely, one AI chatbot can do all your job, right? And then the how got eliminated. Now we got what and why, right? So why you do that, right? What types of problem you solve, and then do you put this why, this like a concept core value into task and make a product, right? So this is probably the two. that's still left. I don't know, maybe it can uh automate everything. But right now is why and what, right? So yeah, go for it.
No, you're right on. I think, like, that the human centered is around the why, and again, there's a lot of still people that are pushing back on, "No, it's just you just need to clinically know how to use the tools." They're changing. The tools are different. In fact, the tools make tools in real time to solve your problems. So, you better have a really good idea of what you're capable of judging. Like, can you understand something? Can you understand what it is? Can you understand the why? So, as these tools that are so sophisticated are doing things, you can add, yeah, that meaningful judgment, because they don't really make great judgments on, well, I think I'm just going to make this today for, they don't really do that, yeah, it's kind of like the illusion that's what they'll do in the future. And I would say all the way out to the how is really about tokenomics. Like, do you have the tool that's capable of doing it? Or do you have the $20 a month, the $100 a month, the $200 a month, or do you have to use API like unlimited to get that how done? Right. So again, that's human in the loop things. But what it turns into being is really project management. Right.
Yeah.
Like, so it feels like the developer, the designer, whether they're XR, VR, AI, they're all gonna be individuals that are gonna need to have a project management perspective. You be able to have lots of different agents that can, do different things, but you need to be able to organize them in such a way that you know that they're looking after the outputs of each other. So it's not like, "Yes, I've done that," and it's like, "Well, you have you?" 'Cause I don't see the log file showing me that you've done anything. It's just like, so it's like these activities, again, they feed a whole different set of skills that it's like, don't give up. Don't say, "Oh my gosh, what do I do?" Let's pivot into the sets of skills that'll help elevate your career into something new. And I know I'm going droning on, but I wanna give you an example. We had a student here that came to our AI program and was really, downtrodden. So did all the things, ACT, SAT, great scores, went to Berkeley, got, straight A's, degree in finance, goes to UCLA, gets an MBA, can't get a job. He's living in San Diego. It's expensive, can't get a job. He's got his family here, comes and he says, "Well, I'm gonna start learning about AI." Comes into our program, starts putting his resume out. He's in the program, comes and he's just like almost in tears. He's just like, I don't even know what to do. And so we came up with a plan of build. Let's build some things, right? Like, let's get your GitHub repository, build some things. So he built one that was, electricity. When is the best times to use electricity? Because he felt like, we're spending a lot on electricity. And then he decided, okay, well, my house has solar. Is there a particular regulations that I can get, maybe, new grants or things around the fact that there's solar on my house and I'm using this electricity? And so he built an app around that. And it was great. And then he decided he was going to do a stock trading p- project. And so he got Alpaca and he built these agents and they did stock trading and it started doing pretty well. And he put it out like as open source and other people were using it and commenting on it. And so he had a few of these projects that he built and he put them at the top of his resume. Well, guess what? He got a job. He got a job, and what he did that was really smart was, as he built those projects, he had the system build the design documents. So when he went into the interview, he had it document everything that it built, and he used that as his preparation. So when they started to talk to him, because he knew I never got called for anything else, so they're probably most interested in the projects I built. He could then talk about the projects, how they worked, and they were so impressed that he got hired. And then the next thing that happened, he gets contacted by Robinhood, who laid off everybody in the world, but now wanted him to come and work for him, right? His dream job. So again, like building is in there too, right? It's like not only not giving up, but let's just figure out new ways that we can pivot and build, and especially in XR and VR, even though we're early, and I'm gonna acknowledge that we are early in VR and XR, but it's such an important and impactful way of perceiving things that it's gonna be gigantic. So those people who are kind of working through it are gonna have an amazing time.
Cool.
What
Yeah. 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 Michael?
No, I just love that you were able to relate these to, real world scenarios that impact the students that we're here to serve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the it's again, it's all, and this was just like you were saying, Dominique, it's like, how do you keep optimism in a place where there's so many things that activate us around negativity, right? Media is about attracting us to negative things because we pay attention. It's an attention mechanism. And so the people are just kinda almost naturally pessimistic and negative and, "Oh my gosh, it's over." And it's like, "Nope, not gonna happen."
Yeah. So just like Elon Musk, right? I like to be optimist because no matter whether you are optimist or passive, right? Your view of your world becomes yourself, right? Becomes the reality, right? So we rather be optimistic, right? So for example, like if you see the optimist side of the world, we saw a lot of super young, like high school students solve a lot of problems, right? That the experts couldn't solve. I saw one of the news that there were a lot of, archaeology, like old ancient, like words or something, right? The ancient language, right? People couldn't decode it. Like people with like a decades of experience in the field couldn't figure it out. And young high school student doesn't have any knowledge and solve it. Right. And I think now I think Elon Musk hired him to SpaceX or Tesla or something. It's just like wow. And I learned that a lot of Stanford, MIT students, they're so excited, and there are a lot of like people who are very optimistic because they don't really need to finish the school. They can just go out and have their own company, right? It's one person with $1 billion revenue. It's becoming truth, right? If you can grab it, that's great, right? Why we keep teaching students to follow our certificate, and that certificate will take years to build, and whatever is getting built will get outdated after it's launched. What's the point? Yeah.
Mhm. There she goes. Here comes the controversy.
Well, I get fired. I wonder if the state heard that. So that's originally. So some people might hear.
So, I will say just on the certificate and the pathways, like, some people need a path, right? Like, they don't have the imagination to say, "I'm gonna build my own path." So I will say those little bridges sometimes just give them a starting place.
Structure.
Yeah, a structure and a starting place, and so that can be, again, really useful, and, I think, one of the things that I think that is really fascinating too about that mindset that you're talking about is, like, if you think of things in a negative way, right? Like, the way that it's gonna turn out is really awful, right? Then you thought it was gonna turn out awful, and then it turns out awful. That's 2 times that you've had to experience the world is awful, right? But imagine that you thought that the world is gonna turn out great, and then it turns out awful. That's only 1 time that it was awful, right? And if you think that it was great and it turns out great, you get 2 times more great. So it's like so it's a little mindset game, but,
Yeah, I do think we need to see the optimistic side, right? So one person, right? You pay $200 for cloth, right? see how many things you can do while you are sleeping, right? And then how many local software you can totally cancel everything related to pure SaaS, right? You can cancel everything. And you can build a lot of things. You can build everything. Recently, I saw one YouTube channel, one young kid. I believe he's probably early 20 or 30s, very young. He built five coding, five business and earn $1 million per month. And I was like, wow, I don't want I was like, well, I want to do that. It's like if you can be a pirate, why join the Navy, right?
That's that was pretty. That there we go. That's awesome.
Everyone wants to make money in your sleep. One better would be building businesses that can continually make more money.
Yes. Doubloons.
Like, if you think optimistically, there's really no limitations.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool, cool. Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on the trend in education? What do you envision 5 years of, from now? And we can close it. Yeah. After this.
Yeah, I will add to that. I think right now higher education is going through a major transformation. In my opinion, right now it's happening. Um, especially with most recent since 3 years, I would say, since ChatGPT was started to hit big in 2023, I think around there to 22, 23. Then spatial AI XR kind of become a more, take more attention, especially on the specialized workforce. And now mostly accessibility, this become a federal law in the United States. And then also skill-based learning. We have to touch becoming much more central conversations and all over social media. I think we are also moving beyond simply just delivering the course contents, and I think it's we are moving much more beyond that to more personalized learning and immersive learning, and also learning centered experiences for all of us. I think that's the next phase of in higher education as well as workforce education. I think these on-demand technologies like AI and XR combine are making this or starting this to reshape how we think and how students are going to interact with the learning, and even collaborate, practice their skills or the skills they are building. And now also, like Ellen and Rick mentioned, like engaging in real world simulations as well. I think that's the most important part, and make it safe, learning safer too. Like Michael's situation, because dealing with the fire is can be dangerous, but this can be done with a much more safer environment with simulations and using the headsets and all that. And also, I think one of the biggest trends I see is the growing importance of AI literacy and in education, as well as AI fluency, because a lot of faculty are still hesitant and they are scared that AI is going to take over their jobs. But it's not. I don't see that's happening because we still have human skills that's much more important than machine, because the machines are not going to become a human. So we are biological, machines are not. So they are always going to think different than us. That's my biggest take. But we can always improve the learning from the human skill side with multimedia learning. Lately, and in faculty development as well, we are. I'm as an instructional designer, we work. I closely work with faculty in different institutions, universities, and colleges to understand their mentality, like how they think, how they approach to their students. So I think psychological part of the teaching and learning is important, and how we understand. I always start with listening to them without judging them. I don't think we should judge them because they are hesitant to AI. So that's how I see. And I think a lot of also institutions realizing the technology alone is not enough either, because faculty support is very important and critical, because they're not going to AI to ask to support, but they want to learn more from the people who are supporting there. Maybe this could be IT or their professional development departments, and to make it much more meaningful and critical implementation for their courses or with the subject they are teaching. um, and also, I see students are also increasingly expecting much more interaction in their learning experiences, and they are looking for much more flexibility in their learning experiences. And also, they are looking to connect to the workforce, and they want to learn much more workforce skills, and they want to be much more ready for their careers. So that also they are expecting much more than their professors. So if their professors guide them with learning AI. So in my doctoral program, my dissertation chair is actually encouraging me to use AI to write my dissertation. So I am very happy with this with my program, because I guess maybe I am one of the lucky ones, because a lot of other institutions are actually banning, and they don't want them to use the AI, and then just use the internet. You have a lot of other tools. Why AI is not biased and all. So there is that is going on right now. We are in that phase of in higher education. So I see it from that side, inequality, because if I am using AI, why not others should be using? I think everybody should be open, but everybody is confused,
Mm.
because at the same time, a lot of colleges are still trying to balance innovation with practical challenges. You know, Again, like it comes with the funding, accessibility, compliance, infrastructure, right, from the IT. And also they want to make sure that the long-term sustainability. So that's also another part. And also I think a lot of institutions that will succeed from this phase, or whatever they will come up with, that are the ones that approach new technologies much strategically, much thoughtfully, if they are thinking much more strategically in their implementation, and focus on much more like creating inclusive, also human centered. Like they want to make sure that humans are involved, not just AI. They have to make it human AI interaction together to create that learning ecosystem. This going to create a new learning ecosystem in the higher education institutions, rather than like simply adopting. Let's adopt this AI tool. It's not a learning management system you are adopting. It's a whole different ecosystem to for the sake of the innovation, right? So that's what the change is going to have, and it's going to become with a lot of pain, and a lot of pain for us, a lot of pain for faculty, a lot of pain for students, and it's going to take a while. And as always, higher education implementations are always slower than the businesses and other corporate world. So we will have to deal with it for a while. I will see, like maybe 5, 10 years. Rick knows it.
Uh-oh.
What do you think, Rick?
I A couple of things. I think, like, what we're about to go through as a society is we've gone through before. We've experienced it. I mean, like, think about travel agents in the 90s, right? Like, Expedia comes out, and basically, the travel agents were dead people walking, right? They just didn't know it yet. It essentially hollowed out that industry. And how it hollowed out was that the people that were the people, they were like, they're fine. They weren't immediately like laying people off, But what happened was that as kind of, you know, economics does what economics do, there's lesser times, and then the people that didn't have really kind of important, like, jobs, things that were being done and replaced by this new kind of web interface, they got laid off. But there was still a lot of people, and there's still today a lot of travel agents that do really specialty kind of things, boutique, hard stuff that systems can't really do. And I think that if you use that same model and you kind of think about, like, your life in terms of, like, or your job in terms of three things: theater, commodity, and durability, right? The theater stuff is like the stuff that's performative. Like, I was in that meeting and, did it make any difference? Probably not, right? Like, the trick is, if you wanna last, you get rid of as much theater as you can from your job. The next thing that's gonna happen is now you got these tools that you can actually, like, do things really fast, right? Like, so you can commoditize this workflow and say, "Hey, I've got this workflow." Now you basically dug your own grave. You've commoditized your own activity, and you the business now has this kind of workflow, and you're replaced, right? But what you really should focus on is take your time that you get back from this new AI, like these new AI advancements, and put it into exploring durability. What are the things that you do that are durable in your job, right? Like, so if you're educator, it's connecting, right? Computers don't connect, right? And so can you gain more connection? Can you gain more work that allows you to be closer to people? Can you gain empathy, right? Like, so again, what we're trying to do is do a real human-centered approach, like build people that know what they believe, they know what they value, and they know how to set and achieve goals, and they're focused on the real durable skills, right? And I feel like that's the future of education. The future of education is to build that kind of capacity that allows people to be human and be great people to each other, right? um, and, have that opportunity, right? So that's my 2 cents.
But, I'm gonna just jump in here with sort of my comments on all this, and to be honest with you, I'm not really sure where education is going to be in the future, and here's what my problem is. We've had an education society for the last 100 years. I am deeply involved in what education looks like today and how it works and what all the bits and pieces of it are. And it's just really hard for me to imagine what's going to happen when AI gets involved, when spatial XR gets involved, and how different education is going to be. Because I look at education the same way we've been looking at it for 100 years, and it's going to be just very different in the future.
I I I don't I don't predict that to be happening. I think that there's still going to be apprenticeship with the universities and creating research. Uh, like that's gonna still, because I believe still we will be, as humans, we will be still curious. Like we will still want to find out stuff, but as going to be another, like, a tool to use that in the, I don't know, I would say short term to long term, but I don't know what's that time scale is, like, because we don't really predict the future. We can't, to be honest. Let's be honest with that.
We're in the singularity. Who can predict anything?
Right. Yeah. So, but well, if we get to that point, yes. But if we don't,
We're there.
yeah, yeah, maybe in 5 years, I don't know, maybe sooner. Yeah. I mean, it's evolving so fast. That's my concern in a way. If it gets to that, like you said, it's a singularity or whatever you call it, or super intelligence phase, then things will be very different. And then there, even right now, there are talks and there are like a lot of innovations that's coming that, you know, Russia invented a cancer drug. So there's a cure for pancreatic, colon, lung, and a lot of cancers. Basically it's available. And I think the Vietnam and Taiwan, I believe they approved. So
Really?
yeah, a couple countries in Asia, they approved the Russian strike. So for cancer treatment. So it's
So
basically a cancer. I mean, I don't see US is going to approve any of that because of the big pharma. So, but a lot of good things are happening, and even in China, they are the government, China government. Uh, Dominic probably knows better than me, but she's from China. So the Chinese government is actually encouraging this won't happen in the US like anytime soon, but they are encouraging, regular their citizens, if they have business, and they are actually giving them $750,000 stipend to launch a one person business to scale. Yeah. So that's happening right now. They approved it. And then, they're so hardworking people in China. So they're gonna go, and China is going to be, the top superpower country in the world. Like everybody leaving US, there is a reason for it because other countries are doing much better. They are open to everything. And then the China also banned to firing their employees from the companies because to replace their jobs with AI too. So in both sides, that's how it should be. But there are so many.
I'm gonna say again, and just in general, like this, we don't get out of this thing as a species without working together. So like there a lot of times I think we really get our mindsets on like it's them, it's this, it's that. It's like nope, it's all of us. Humans, let's band together. This is our moment.
Yeah, but I don't think it's banning anything. I think it's also like a much larger shift will happen or happening already globally, including education, like Ellen mentioned. So we've been doing this educational, shift or education for almost hundreds of years. There's a mentor, you learn from it, and then master you know, the
We all know the 2 sigma rule though, right? Like if you have a 7 or less, you get a 2 sigma improvement in knowledge and learning. So like the idea of having a tutor that can give you gaps is going to give our learning a lot more acceleration, a lot more velocity, I think. But still what you do with that knowledge, that building of a great citizen or person that knows really what with agency what they do because when you know what you believe and you know what you value and you know how you get and achieve goals according to Aristotle, that's more agency, and more agency means that you do what you want as opposed to the system told me to do this and I'm just going to show up and do my job, right? Like because guess what, governments are algorithms, businesses, algorithms. Those are all algorithms. And so we've lived for 100 or 200 years in the midst of algorithms that told us what to do, how to be, and how to act. This is a moment of equity. You have a chance to gain more agency and determination in your life than ever before. And let's do it.
and also we shouldn't forget that we live in a capitalist world
Yep.
because everything is comes from the capital. If you don't have money, you don't have buying power. You cannot improve anything. And
What is money?
billionaires,
What is money, actually?
that time and energy,
Time and energy, okay.
time and energy too. And that
If I'm a Marxist, I'll put on my Marxist hat for a second. It's actually labor value, right? So is cognition or what we consider in a knowledge, kind of a knowledge-based industry, is cognition really a proxy for labor value? So if I have more cognition, then I have more wealth theoretically.
Yeah, but you are looking from the labor side of it. But there's also governments prints money without face value. So United States was printing the money since 1971 without the face value. It was, the dollar was based on gold, and then the Nixon changed that.
So we're fiat. We've been in a fiat world so what you're telling me is it's all pretend?
Well, the dollar is now what current government is trying to do is the dollar value right now is still strong because of the petrol uh, pumping from all around the world. And why is this wars are happening? Because of they want to keep the dollar value still, the world's number one currency.
The reason that they're pouring money into AI is because there's this little thing that's going on in everybody's minds that is, if cognition is the wealth of the future, meaning my access to compute is what money is in the future, I better get as much of it as fast as I can. They're building data centers as big as they can, as fast as they can, and with as much electricity as they can, right? Because that whole fiat thing and what money is and what oil was and all that, that's all changing too. So education is just we're a part of that whole kind of system. But and it feels really like we're an outsourced HR department for most businesses. We just figure out whether or not people wear shoes to work and whether or not they'll show up or they can get along with others, or it's what we become. And then but we sell for Gucci, prices. It's like, "Oh, you got the brand, you could show up for work, okay, come on in." But I don't know if that's gonna work anymore, you know?
Yeah, I think for the future of education, just like previously you guys said that it should be more like personalized, right? And also my thought is that, for example, I listen to some podcasts and a lot of high-end investors, including, investors for SpaceX or, the inner circle, they said that the currency, right? What's the value of currency? Maybe because all the energy, everything becomes so cheap, right? Almost no money, right? No cost to produce an app, right? Produce something that previously takes decades to and the team of brilliant people to build. So maybe, just like you said, that energy, right? And the Earth is pretty much, I would say, pretty soon might run out of energy. Then we might need to all go to space, right? So I do think that maybe, because I remember the Dyson Sphere, right? You need to harvest your solar system or your sun, right?
Done.
And right now we are not really doing anything. We are kind of emit a lot of petroleum and bomb to each other, right? And cause, cause a lot of
It's
problems.
cheap. Just 'cause it's cheap, that's the reason we use it as energy, it's cheap. We have a cheap if we've the minute that we find something cheaper, you can bet we're gonna use it. A and we might be forced to.
One thing I will also want to add that AI is going to build a lot of maybe intelligence
Mhm.
in theoretical, like, oh, this is possible, oh, you can do this with this, and it's going to give us all the plan. But who is going to take action? Like, are we going to be responsible for the outcomes? If it's possible. Like,
But
Dominic said, yeah, like robots are gonna, rules are not gonna go to space for doing that. But yeah, Elon Musk's vision is that, sending the robots, his Tesla robots and the Cybertrucks and all that to Mars, and then create a station there or the colony, and then doing the same thing like the Dyson Sphere, like the create like put all the solar panels and then creating energy and then sending all the data centers and build them on space or the orbit, and it's going to be always there. Well, Elon Musk is already doing that. He has his satellite internet is already active.
he'll have a nice heavy lift vehicle, there's no doubt. I still think that we've got a long way to go. We gotta figure out cooling. Everybody's like, "Well, it's just cold in space." Yeah, but there's no there's no molecules to pull the heat off of the material. So so you have to have an enclosed system. Yeah.
I learned that if we build data center in the moon, uh, then because space is so cold, so we don't have to build that system because before we need water, right? Build around the water reservoir or river, then it can use the cooling, the how the
The cooling is because the molecules draw off the heat. So if they're in a vacuum, it cooling doesn't work the same way. So there's a whole cooling system strategy that they have to figure out. Like
um,
that's the big problem. Like, everybody's like, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, space is cold. It's great, but it doesn't have any there's no molecules, there's no water, there's no air that'll pull the heat off of the system. So
yeah, maybe
so
we
we
build water or build something, build wind or build
that
something.
that's internal in the system, but it just means it's not as easy. If you could just send it up there, that'd be great.
They are building the cooling system in the new infrastructure they are building for OpenAI in Texas.
Mm.
I watched the documentary that on YouTube. So this lady, she goes in and then asks questions about how are you going to, it's a massive data center for AI infrastructure, right? For OpenAI, they are building. I think it's the Starlink project. So Stargate, sorry, Starlink. Gate. Starlink is the Elon Musk's internet. Stargate. So Stargate is actually building has been built in Texas, and then they are using the recyclable water. So they are not going to because they will need so much water from the city, and then they will they have a lot of water if they do, but they're gonna recycle. They said to water with the special these tubes and stuff like system, so that's how they are planning to cooling all these chips.
And we're gonna need educators to tell us how this is all going on.
Well, yeah, but the other thing is it comes with the education. But the other thing is like my concern is everything is going to be like super intelligence and all that is going to be okay. So I take that and then I accept the reality of the future, and we will see it probably if they say 2 to 20 years. Then if we are alive and we will if there's no like World War III or something. uh but if that happens, and after that is the important, because who is going to be responsible of the implementation of all that? It's gonna still take years,
Humans, yeah,
like less like 50.
we're the hands, we've got the opposable thumbs.
Yeah, because Elon Musk was saying, oh, I'm gonna send the humans to earth and start colonizing it in 2020 or something, and now he's saying 2035.
I mean, it takes you much longer. You see, like every time when you hear the engineer said that, give me 3 days. It's usually 3 months, right? But it never ended, and yeah, cool, cool. So,
And higher education is going to be another thing because of the plan. I think we will be fine. We will still going to be educating the subjects are going to evolve. So the what is, I think, important skill right now for everybody, even for faculty, administration and all the staff members and who works in the higher education, should be the main skill will be to learn how to adapt to fast changes. Like, a lot of people are doesn't have that because they are uncomfortable with the change. That can be challenging for a lot. But yeah, I think adapting who are easily adapt to new, evolution or like changes will be more successful and
Mhm.
stay in the fields, I believe.
cool. Yeah. So that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. I personally very enjoy it. It's very fun. Yeah, and thank you so much for listening. And if you like our episode, feel free to subscribe our Apple, Spotify, and YouTube channel, and give us a like and give us a 5 star for sure. And then I hope you enjoy it and hopefully see you next time. Okay, bye bye. 人. Ren actually is human, two human. So the other side, two lines, that's two. And then that part is human, 人, human. So two
Human to human.
to human.
Awesome. Thank you for explaining that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, to human. So that is that word. So yeah, so if we can based on human and especially community college, we have a lot of different background of people. If we can give them like a more like personalized, and I think AI can really help us. But also we also address a lot of like AI issues such as privacy, data, right? So pretty much we just go around the world. Yeah. So yeah, I really appreciate Rick, and it was really inspiring conversation. And that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. We release episodes weekly. If you enjoy this conversation, check out our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Support us by giving us a follow and a 5-star rating, or subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Thank you, and see you next time.